This has been a secret project we've been working on for a long time.
What are you doing back there? Let's say it like it is, right? They got caught spying on our election.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Benny. What is the sign of political enlightenment? The true sign of political enlightenment, we talk about it a lot on this channel, is being able to say all organized governments are criminal enterprises. All governments are organized criminal enterprises that are there to control power forever. And they are happy to lie to you. And when you hear the government say something, you should be very suspicious of it. I'm not saying the government lies 100% of the time, but they lie a hell of a lot of the time. And those lies are demonstrable and evil and empirical. And we can now test them and see them for what they are. Some of the biggest lies, some of the biggest psyops in American history just happened over the last couple of years. Obviously with COVID-19 and obviously with BLM and with Donald Trump's presidency. It was like psyop central. I've never seen anything like it. The mind breakage to the American people of the Trump presidency. And now we are starting to sort of like see the destitution, the destruction that it has all wrought, and how wrong our government agencies were, how they knew they were lying to us, and they were happy to lie anyway. For instance, in a new bombshell report from our friends Michael Schellenberger and Matt Taibbi, the CIA knew that Russia didn't want Donald Trump to win. They wanted Hillary Clinton to win. And in spite of knowing all of that, they smeared Donald Trump with the Russia collusion hoax in order to try and destroy his presidential campaign or his presidency afterward. So much reporting coming out on this. It's amazing to see. And it really does beg the question, will any of these people ever be held accountable? Listen to Jesse Waters' brand new report based on Michael Schellenberger and Matt Taibbi's most recent bombshell reporting on the CIA Russia collusion. The true Russia collusion was the CIA and the Hillary Clinton campaign working literally with Russia. Watch.
Part 3 of the investigation into how the CIA framed Trump just dropped, and it changes everything. This week, we learned how Obama's CIA told foreign spies to bump 26 Trump campaign associates who the CIA thought were, easy marks, framing them for collusion and then triggering the FBI investigation, the illegal wiretapping, and eventually the Mueller probe. We also learned there are classified documents that prove all of this, that Trump might have copies of, and it could be why Biden raided Mar-a-Lago. Now, today, Michael Schellenberger and Matt Taibbi dropped another bombshell. Russia didn't want Trump to win in 2016. Russia wanted Hillary, and the CIA knew it. Russia saw Hillary as manageable and predictable. They were comfortable with her and wanted her to be president. The Russians thought Trump was a wild card, didn't want to deal with that. There was never any evidence showing Putin supporting Trump. Obama's CIA director, John Brennan, knew this and manufactured the evidence. He manipulated other assessments, buried high-quality intelligence, and then manufactured a conclusion that 17 agencies agreed Russia interfered in the 2016 elections to help Trump. And then the press ran with it, and the country was brainwashed. Now, according to these new reports, these were similar tactics the CIA used with the WMDs. This has severely wounded our body politic, warped our minds, and wrecked our trust in national security institutions. We deserve the full accounting of this hoax immediately, every document involved. Thankfully, Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger have made great progress, and Mike joins us now. Mike, tell us what this new cooking the books situation really is all about.
Sure, Jesse, it's good to be with you. Well, I think some people wonder if this is old news or maybe if this has been reported. I want to assure you that it has not been reported until now. I can also assure you that there are current members of the House Intelligence Committee that are unaware of a 50-page report that the CIA is currently hiding at its headquarters. There may be other copies elsewhere, but there is a top-secret copy at the CIA proving without a doubt, according to our sources, which are multiple credible sources, that Russia, in fact, favored Hillary Clinton, not Donald Trump, in 2016, that they used the Steele memo, the infamous political document commissioned by the Hillary Clinton campaign, to cook the intelligence, as they said, for the early January 2017 intelligence community assessment claiming that the Russians favored Trump falsely, that relied on the Steele memo. That 50-page report continues to exist. It likely exists with the other intelligence information, including potentially raw intelligence documents, showing that the evidence was very strongly on the side, the best evidence was on the side that the Russians favored Clinton for the continuity and stability, that they were concerned about Trump for being erratic and being an unknown quantity, and that the quality of the evidence that contradicted that was much lower, and that Brennan's people manipulated the sourcing, so to speak, the quality ranking given to the sources to come up with really the opposite outcome of what the truth was.
So the election has just happened. Hillary has lost. It was a surprise. They'd already kind of had this CIA, FBI deal working, and then they needed some major assessment that was authoritative. And you're saying Brennan at the CIA just started going like this and moving everything around to create this impression that they interfered on behalf of Trump?
Yeah, that's right. There's actually two separate intelligence scandals here for people to keep in mind. The first one happened earlier in 2016, where our sources, multiple sources, tell us that Brennan oversaw manipulation of our foreign allies to basically entrap Trump associates to create the pretext for the FBI investigation of Trump supposed alleged collusion with Russia, which we now know is debunked. The second thing is, almost a year later, Brennan orchestrates a phony intelligence assessment that comes to the opposite conclusion of what their own raw intelligence, their best intelligence, was showing. These are two massive, massive intelligence scandals. What we're witnessing is the political corruption of both intelligence gathering and intelligence analysis by John Brennan. And these documents, we have been told by multiple people, still exist. They're at the CIA. They need to be released. They're probably part of this larger binder, which may have the other documents to support both the evidence of both of these scandals.
How do we hold Brennan accountable?
Congress has to take action. I mean, as I said, I now know for a fact that there are members of the House Intelligence Committee whose job it is, whose constitutional requirement it is to oversee the CIA, to demand that the CIA be a non-political institution. They need to hold them to account. There need to be hearings on this. They need to get to the bottom of that. We need that 50-page report and the binder and the rest of the documents.
Well, I agree. I'm not relying on Congress to do much of anything these days. I do like the CIA interfering in other people's elections, just not ours. That's a line we can never cross. Schellenberger, thanks so much, and thanks to you, Matt Taibbi, as well. Tell him thank you.
So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is the political espionage of an era. Far worse than Whitewater or Watergate or any of the gates that you've heard of before. What Richard Nixon did or didn't do, like the setup of Richard Nixon, was nothing in comparison to this. They committed treason. This is your actual seditious conspiracy. Getting together in a room with the intelligence agency, Barack Obama and Joe Biden, and plotting a way to take down Donald Trump's presidency, the duly elected president, because that's the definition of insurrection. The definition of insurrection is a plotted, attempted takeover of a rightful government. And that is precisely what happened. Political espionage campaign targeted Trump, Russia collusion tale, WMD-style story, journalist says. This is unbelievably shocking stuff. Let's listen to Michael Schellenberger, the author of this report.
Michael, explain how this all started with the CIA picking these 26 Trump people.
Yeah, good to be with you, Jesse. Well, obviously, this is an extremely serious story and serious allegation by multiple credible sources that Public and Racket, that's Matt Taibbi's publication, have spoken to. These are people that are close to the House intelligence investigation of how the Russia collusion hoax began. The story, as you mentioned, was that, we were just informed by foreign intelligence about this. Our sources tell us a very different story, which is that this was initiated by the U.S. government. It came from within the U.S. government's intelligence community, including the CIA. that they asked the so-called Five Eyes nations intelligence agencies, that's the other English-speaking nations, including Britain and Australia, to spy on 26 Trump associates, or at least they had a list of the 26 associates that were identified. This is new information. Some people have theorized about this and speculated about it. We feel very confident that our sources were in a position to know and are very credible in this report. And it's obviously a very serious allegation because this is illegal spying and it's illegal election interference.
That was actually the second part of a two-part report. The first part of the report is right here on a Substack that I deeply encourage you to subscribe to and support. Michael Schellenberger's Substack, Public. CIA had foreign allies spy on Trump team, triggering Russia collusion, host sources say. United States community targeted 26 Trump advisors and foreign agencies to reverse target and bump Trump. This is John Brennan. This is one of the most evil people to ever live. He is a complete and total sociopath. You can see it in his eyes. This man is a complete banality of evil. John Brennan cracked a plot in order to get the capacity to spy on Donald Trump. It's illegal to spy on American citizens. The CIA is a clandestine operation, but they could use their spy partners around the world, which is what John Brennan asked for, the governments of the Five Eyes, Australia and England and New Zealand and so forth, to spy on Trump campaign officials. So they effectively created the spying mechanisms to spy on the Trump campaign, and the CIA used it as a backdoor to spy on their political rival. In truth, the U.S. intelligence community asked the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance to surveil Trump's associates and share the intelligence they acquired with U.S. agencies, says a source close to the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. The Five Eyes nations are the U.S., UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. So John Brennan effectively identified 26 American citizens to get spied upon, which is utterly illegal for a CIA director. He should be in prison in Guantanamo Bay for the rest of his life. Unknown details about the FBI's investigation in the Trump campaign, raw intelligence related to the intelligence community's surveillance of the Trump campaign, a 10-inch binder that Trump ordered to be declassified at the very end of his term. But that binder has now gone missing in ongoing political espionage. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen. Jesse Waters wrapping up this part of the report.
Brand new details about how Obama's CIA targeted Trump and started the entire Russia hoax. For years, we were told that tips from an Australian diplomat tipped off the FBI after a random conversation with Papadopoulos, a no-name 20-something. But according to new reporting by Michael Schellenberger and Matt Taibbi, the whole thing was a CIA setup. Former CIA Director John Brennan identified 26 Trump associates to be targeted by the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance, and then those interactions were the targets and were targeted by the FBI as suspicious. And that's how the FBI launched the Russia collusion hoax. The details of this entire operation have been stored in a top-secret binder in a secret room in Washington. Trump ordered the whole thing declassified, and now the rumor is that the binder might be missing.
One of our favorite commentators on all of this is Jonathan Turley, who has effectively said that this is the worst political scandal in American history. Check this out.
Collaborating with Big Intel to build the case against Trump and raid Mar-a-Lago, what would that mean legally?
Well, it would certainly show that the president and the White House has been lying to both Congress and the public. We have to see if that is indeed true, but it's a very serious allegation. It's the type of thing that impeachments are made of if you're using your office to try to target your political opponents. And obviously, we lack those details, but it could be a very serious allegation to bring forward if this is supported in the days to come.
And so the CIA, Turley, professor, I should say, they're prohibited from conducting operations on U.S. soil. Would they say, my hands are clean because we had all of our overseas assets handle it through the Five Eyes in Europe and all those things? Are they going to skate? There's not going to be any accountability for the spying and the interfering in the election?
Now, this would still contravene federal law and policy. First of all, FISA is not supposed to be used to target First Amendment activities, political activities, but even going outside of FISA to target U.S. citizens and to use surrogates to do it would raise very significant legal and policy questions. It would also contradict things that have been made. Keep in mind, in this period, 2016, Trump had just announced who his foreign policy team would be, including Papadopoulos and Page, who apparently were targeted.
I mean, I feel like it's deja vu. It's 2024. I'm still doing Russia hoax stories. I feel like I'm 37. Professor Turley, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
For our sake and for our reporting, we had Kash Patel on the show just this morning and asked him about this bombshell report. And Kash was able to illuminate even more into who is actually holding up this process and who is actually destroying this evidence or hiding this evidence and why. Have a listen. Kash, we have so many topics to cover with you. I know that you have a tight time frame, so I must ask the questions about the bombshell Russiagate reporting that has happened this week, exposing obviously the CIA plot to ask the Five Eyes to bump into Trump campaign representatives. I know for a fact, you don't have to say it. I know for a fact you already knew all of this. I know that you've already known all of this and that all of this information is bundled up inside of a binder. And maybe that's why the Mar-a-Lago raid went down. And it's just spiraling out of control, that story. Can you give me your thoughts on where that story is headed? Because it does seem to be the largest political scandal of our lifetimes.
Yeah, and if you give me a little bandwidth here to lay this out. Look, I'm very happy that this is in the news, and I'm very happy that there's reporting on it. But I want to remind the audience what the fake news media ignored for 6 years. When Devin Nunes and I ran the Russiagate investigation, we put these findings in a 350-page report, which was publicized. We put the findings out that Hillary Clinton was the preferred candidate of Vladimir Putin and the Russian Federation. Based on our investigation, we showed that John Brennan and company weaponized the system of intelligence to prosecute and target Trump surrogates. We named them. And now we're starting to see more information on those two lines of effort, which I think is fantastic. But I also think we need to put down a marker and make sure we don't take the bait from the FBI that conjured up the Russiagate hoax to begin with. The binder in question was the one that we compiled at the end of the Trump administration that President Trump declassified. That binder is sitting at the Department of Justice. The bean counters and librarians at NARA have stated publicly that binder is at the Department of Justice. And that binder does contain a lot of information in the underlying documentations about Russiagate that Devin Nunes and I weren't able to get declassified because we ran into the buzzsaw that was Rod Rosenstein, Gina Haspel, and Chris Wray. And why do I bring up Gina Haspel again? I'll get there in a second. The second big piece of this story is we, the Russiagate team, did a 2,000 man-hour report and investigation into John Brennan's ICA. The report that John Brennan was ordered by Obama to produce to justify the unlawful targeting of Trump surrogates, we did another report. Think of it as the Nunes memo on the Steele dossier in the FBI. There is another 17-page report sitting in a SCIF, in a safe at the CIA for the last 4 or 5, however many years it is, that we produced. Now, we in the Trump administration tried to get that declassified. And the person that blocked its release then and to this day is Gina Haspel. What is in that report shows the dereliction of duty and the politicization of John Brennan's ICA. We've been trying to get it out forever. And why is Gina Haspel at the epicenter of all of this? She was London station chief in 2016. What does that mean? What does that matter? In 2016, John Brennan was ordered and went out and took the intelligence community and said, we are going to target Donald Trump's surrogates with the CIA, NSA, and our partners overseas. So what does that mean? Gina Haspel, as the London station chief, by law has to authorize offensive operations in the United Kingdom because she's what we call the #1 DNI rep, the #1 Office of Director of National Intelligence Representative. Those operations, which we reported about from our Russiagate findings, the Halper thing, the barroom thing, all that nonsense, and much others, could not have occurred unless she authorized them. She did that. She would later become Trump's CIA director. She would later become the individual that blocked the release of our ICA report on John Brennan's bogus ICA. People need to start asking questions why that is and why Congress hasn't called her to testify. And here's another doozy for you and your audience. Do you know where Gina Haspel works today and has for the last 3 years? At Chris Wray's law firm as the National Security Advisor, where Rod Rosenstein and Sally Yates are named law partners. Rod Rosenstein, the same guy who signed the bogus FISA warrant against Donald Trump, which was rescinded as a result of our Russiagate investigation and nullified by the FISC. These people are making tens of millions of dollars together. Do you think these government gangsters are running in a coincidence circle? No, they have orchestrated this thing from jump, and they have orchestrated the cover-up. And I'm very happy, and people need to make sure I'm not denigrating the work of Schellenberger and Taibbi and anyone else who has the gall to put this out there. I just want to make sure that the mainstream media doesn't conflate what the efforts of these gentlemen are and put out the facts so that they don't come back later and say, oh, you guys conflated these two things and got the reporting wrong, so your entire article is garbage. We need to stay above board on this stuff, and we need to not make assertions that we don't know are true in terms of what the FBI did and didn't do based on this reporting.